Hi all, I am, as Megan said, Jonathan, and I'm a Mikaboo volunteer. In fact, all the people presenting today are Mikaboo volunteers. Mikaboo is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to education and to the rescue and adoption of companion birds. We're a virtual organization with no paid staff, and I'll put a plug in here. We rely on donations to be able to serve these birds. About 200 birds per year come through Mikaboo, being taken in, given care, medical care when need be, and put in foster homes and then adopted homes. The costs are staggering. We average $50,000 for veterinary bills every month for essential medical care for birds in foster. That wasn't a misprint, or whatever the voice equivalent is. $50,000 for essential vet care every single month. This month we had the $10,000 cockatiel. Sometimes it gets very expensive. So if you are able to help, please consider donating. Okay, end of infomercial. Let's talk about the adoption process and the foster process. I want to say that since we're an all-volunteer organization, and because we want to be really careful about the well-being of the birds, the process can take a while. It's not like you go to the shelter, pick out a dog, and go home with the dog. It takes several weeks to get through the process, mostly because of getting people's schedules aligned, but also for reviews and education and such. It usually runs 6 to 8 weeks and sometimes longer for the bigger birds. So please, please be patient. We are going as fast as we can, and the results are really worth it. And if you feel like you haven't heard from us, please do ping us. Some things accidentally drop, and the reminders are helpful. A lot of people wonder how we're handling the adoption process during the COVID-19 pandemic. So we are maintaining social distance. When people are picking up an adoptive bird or foster bird, we want to make sure that all the parties involved have been healthy for at least 2 weeks. And we do the handoff as sort of a no-touch bird handoff. So we leave the carrier outside of your door, we step back, you bring the bird in, then you bring the empty carrier outside, you go in, we pick it up, all as physically distanced as we can manage it. And if you need help with cage transport, we would do that without going into your home. And as far as meeting birds go, we're doing a lot of meetings between potential adopters and birds via Zoom, which, while it's not as fun as visiting the bird in real life, so to speak, it's got an advantage of seeing them kind of in a relaxed state without a new stranger around. And for the bigger birds, where it is really important to have that, to know if that connection is there, we can possibly arrange a socially distant visit in person by taking the bird outside in their cage or carrier for a meeting. And it just depends on what the foster home and the potential adopter are comfortable with. So those are some changes. The adoption process itself begins with our basic bird care class, because parrots are not simple beings to care for, and they require a lot from us, their human companions. So that class covers parrot behavior, health and well-being, feeding, care, and other topics to ensure that the birds will be able to thrive in their new forever homes. After you take the class and you fill out an application online, then you're ready for the next step, which is a phone screen. And Linda from our phone screen team is here to talk a little bit about that. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Jonathan. I'm Linda Liebelt. I'm co-leader of our marvelous team of phone screen volunteers. Okay, you've taken the class, you've filled out the online application. Now you're ready for the third step, the phone screen. The purpose of the phone screen is threefold: to determine whether you have a basic understanding of Mikaboo's guidelines for bird care, to know why you want to adopt a bird, and to learn about birds you previously owned. No, this is not an interrogation. Of course, we want to know what you learned in class, but also this is your best opportunity to have an actual volunteer of your very own to answer your questions about basic bird care, about Mikaboo, or about bird species. A phone screen volunteer will contact you to set up a date and a time for your interview. The interview should take about an hour of your time or more if you have questions, and we love questions. After the interview, the phone screen volunteer will write a report, and this goes to the home visit team. I do hope we'll be speaking with you real soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. So you go through the phone screen, and then we'll schedule with you a home visit. Back in the early days, we used to do those live in person. Now we do them by video via Zoom. And so to introduce the virtual home visit, we have Martha, who leads our home visit team. Hey, Martha.
Hi, Jonathan.
You're missing a cockatiel on your shoulder.
Pardon me?
You're missing a cockatiel on your shoulder.
I do, actually. They're making loud noises in the other room. So yes, the home visit is the final step in your approval process. After the phone screen is done, we review your application and the phone interview to see what kinds of items we might want to focus on in the home visit. It's designed to answer any more questions that you might have after the phone screen and any that are specific for your home. And the goal, of course, is to set you up for a successful adoption or foster experience. This entire process is the same for whether you're going to foster or adopt a bird. For first-time bird parents, it's a great way to get questions answered, anything that may have come up since your phone interview. And for those who are adding a bird to your flock, we'll meet your birds and we can suggest other things that can make their lives even better with you. So once a volunteer is assigned for your home visit, you'll get an email or phone call to schedule a mutually convenient time. And generally we like to do these during the day because it's very important that we assess the daylight in your home. The visits can take anywhere from an hour to maybe more. It sort of depends on, in my case, how much I want to chat. If there's lots of animals to meet, because that is one of the things we do. We like to meet your other pets. I love meeting other people's pets. And we'll be looking at things more closely, like things like a fireplace or your kitchen, what kinds of plants you have in your home. So what we're looking for is strictly safety for you and your bird. We don't look at rooms that your bird won't be in. We're not looking, it's not a white glove test. We're not looking to see how clean your house is, but we do look at where your bird is going to be, where he's going to be living in his cage and where he might be sleeping if that's a different area. We look at where he or she is going to get the most attention from you, what the sunlight is like, what the airflow is like. And probably the most frequent question we get is, where do we put the cage and how do we get it? And we can give you lots of ideas of where the best cage placement is and where you can obtain cages for the best price and still get a quality cage. So as I said, we want to know if there's anything that's going to be harmful for your bird, like kitchen fumes, incense, cats and dogs, small children. We want your adoption or your foster experience to be successful and for everyone to be safe. And we'll also, very important, we'll point out things that your bird might get to and could chew on, because it may not be bad for him or her, but you don't really want to get your stuff destroyed. So as Jonathan mentioned, during this shelter in place, we've been really lucky to get so many applicants now, so many more with our classes. And it is definitely taking some more time to get through all of them, but we're working really hard at it. So please be patient. And we hope to see you soon.
Thanks, Martha. So after you have your home visit, then comes the fun part. You get to meet the birds, either going through the website or at adoption fairs like this. And today we're going to be meeting some of our Mikaboo birds who are seeking forever homes. We're going to have an African gray, a couple of different species of macaw, conure, Amazon, cockatiels. So we've got a nice lineup today. And what I'll do is introduce a bird and their foster, and then you'll be able to learn more about them. And with each bird, if you have questions, please do type them into the chat, and one of our volunteers will either answer the question or arrange to get it answered for you. So let's go. We're going to start with a Congo African gray, Jojo, and her foster parent, Joy. Hey, Joy, how you doing?
Hey.
Good to see you both.
Good to see you too.
So you have Jojo, this lovely gray, and how long have you had her? Do you have any idea how old she is?
She's 30. I've had her for a year and a half.
And how did she come to Mikaboo?
From what I understand, she came because the people who bought her originally weren't able to continue the care, and heard that Mikaboo was a really good place to put parrots that needed a new home.
So it's easy to notice that she's got some pretty plucked places.
Yeah.
And how some people often, people think that that's a bird who's not adjusted well. There's actually a ton of possible reasons for plucking, hormonal stuff. But, what's her temperament like? What's she like?
Pretty sweet. She loves to just sit out on her tea stand and hang out. She's learning more and more noises that are in our household, including the ones my other bird makes. So they've been having fun making a lot of racket now because they're on opposite sides of the house. She just has a fun personality.
How does she interact with humans?
She does pretty good. If you're just sitting here talking to her, you can tell that she's showing a lot of interest. She loves little games like if you clap your hands, she'll either flap her wings like that. Oh yeah, you're being a good girl, aren't you? Or like she's making a clapping sound and moving her foot with the beat. So she just likes being with people. She's not a cuddly bird, but she likes being with people.
Does she step up, or does she step onto a stand?
She will step onto my wrist. If she absolutely has to, she'll get on my hand, but she'll run off of it as soon as she can. And I've tried the smaller tea stands for transport, and she won't get on it.
So I heard you make a distinction. She'll step on your wrist, but not your hand. Hands are a little scary for her?
Yeah, I think so. I worked with her a lot in the beginning so that hands don't scare her like they used to. It used to be you came or she saw a hand anywhere within a couple feet of her, she'd go full defensive and try to bite. And as you can see, she's not doing that anymore.
Oh, good girl. So we had a request. They said the Zoom froze when the plucking came up. So the points I want to make again is that many birds in captivity do pluck. It can be a variety of reasons, including physiological things, including high levels of breeding hormones, sexual hormones, as well as, birds who are very bored or neglected. But it's not always a sign of neglect. And for many birds, once they pluck, the feathers won't grow back after a certain point. But the birds continue to be very happy and sociable and fun birds to be around. And it sounds like Jojo's one of them. What does she like to eat?
Well, I discovered last week that she really likes bananas when she reached over and grabbed half of mine. She likes the seed cakes. Oh, are you saying hi? What a good girl.
Hi, Jojo.
She usually likes almonds, but this last week she's not so sure about them. Walnuts are okay. Corn, I like to take some chunks of corn like on the cob itself and put those in her cage, and she just has so much fun tearing it apart and eating what she feels like eating. For her main food, she eats not the regular pellets of the Harrisons, but the Hansons, but the smaller ones, because the bigger ones she swallows too fast and it gets stuck in her crop.
Okay.
So we feed her 4 times a day.
Harrison's fine. 4 times a day. She's on Harrison's fine.
Yeah. It's just 4 times a day, those little pellets instead of, 2 meals.
Right.
And it seems to be helping. Her crop used to just get so full. She wouldn't eat anything more. She wouldn't drink water. But the vet was like, try this. And it's been perfect since then. No more problems like choking.
That sounds great. She was joining you and talking. She was explaining a few things herself. That was very
I
sweet.
know. She's been doing that lately, last couple of weeks. She's had to participate in every conversation around her. It's kind of fun.
So I know with Jojo, hormones are an issue in her plucking. I remember that. And so what are some of the things that you have to do to help, keep her from getting too hormonally active and having behavior plucking?
That is putting Lupron, which is like an injection in her back once every 5 weeks. And that seems to help with some of the plucking. I took out anything that can be stripped, like nesting materials. So she has wood in there. She has safe toys like nettles and stuff. You're really wanting your treat, aren't you? Basically, I try to keep her off the floor of the cage. So I don't put toys down on the floor. Just things to try to take away any sense of this is a romantic time period of life. Use the light, a pet light.
Right, and keeping, part of that is keeping it from seeming like there are good nesting places available.
Yeah.
That's great. Would you recommend Jojo for someone who is new to parrots, or is she more of an experienced parrot bird?
I think, because I'm not sure how fast it'll take her to kind of calm down in a new environment, I think Jojo is someone who has experience with some birds.
That makes sense. So do you have a favorite Jojo story that you can tell?
I don't know how. Okay, so her cage is right next to the restroom hallway, and we have a lot of people in. Well, normally have a lot of people in and out, and so she will imitate all the different, like the door closing and the toilet flushing and the water running, and whenever anyone goes in or comes out of there, and it just cracks me up because it's so spot on.
Yeah, they're amazing at how closely they can do it. One of our parrots calls me in exactly my wife's voice. It's pretty funny. Reminder that if you have questions about Jojo, feel free to ask them. And let's see. So what would you say people need to be aware of if they were to adopt Jojo?
Just mostly that she has to be fed 4 times a day, just a little bit. And then making sure she gets it to the bird vet every 5 weeks. Otherwise, and be careful with your hands until she gets to trust you.
Right, those are important things. Hi, sweetheart. Do you have to do extra to keep her warm since she's missing some insulation?
I don't see that I have, but we keep our house kind of warm with my husband's arthritis. So
Got it.
I think most people in the house are actually too hot.
So she's in a warm environment.
Yes, she's in a warm environment, and there's an air conditioning vent in the room where her cage is, and I just make sure it doesn't blow directly on her, but it keeps the room cool.
How does she interact with other birds?
For a while, because I have another gray, I have a tag, and she would try to attack him in the beginning, but just like within the last couple of weeks, she actually reached out, and my bird reached out for my hand. I was like, oh, this is gonna be trouble, but they bumped beaks, and both went on their merry way, and I was like, wow. So I'm starting to see after 1.5 years, and well, maybe that person's okay.
Nice. And does she take head scritches? Someone in our audience is asking.
No, unfortunately, she's actually very sneaky with them. She'll put her head down to get them, and as soon as you get close, she'll bite. So that's what I mean. She's not a cuddly bird.
You do that. She does let you touch her beak, though, I noticed.
She does let me do that, but it's taken a long time. But if I was to try to scratch her head.
Right, no, don't even try.
Yeah,
Yep.
She just immediately defensive. So it's okay, you don't want your head scratched, no biggie.
Yeah, we really have to relate to them on their terms. They're equal partners.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much. And thank you, Jojo. You've been a wonderful guest.
Let's see if I buy.
Can you put for me, Hala?
Bye. And so we are going to move on to our next foster bird, the lovely Hala.
Hi.
Hala is the Milligold Macaw. Hi, and Sarah, her foster parent.
Hi, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm well, Sarah. It's great to see you both.
Good to see you too.
Tell us a little, how is a Milligold Macaw? And before you tell us what a Milligold Macaw is, again, reminder to people, ask your questions in chat. And we're going to enjoy Sarah and Hala, as Hala is a cuddly bird. So tell us about Milligold Macaw here.
Yeah, sure. So a Milligold Macaw is a mix between a blue and gold macaw and a military macaw. So Hala's parents, respectively, the military macaw was a green macaw with a red front. And then the blue and gold, of course, has the yellow chest and the blue feathers. And so if I turn around here, hopefully you can see Hala's wings and her tail.
Yeah,
This
that
beautiful
blue.
blend of green into dark blue, which is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, she is really a great looking bird. How did she come to Mikaboo?
She came to Mikaboo in about 2013. So Hala's actually got a history with Mikaboo, and she's looking for her second forever home. She was fostered by a lady who was a volunteer with Mikaboo in 2013, who immediately fell in love with her and adopted her, as we call that, foster failing.
Yeah.
So it was a very happy ending. And Hala was very happy living with her adopted Mikaboo parrot. Unfortunately, that lovely lady passed away earlier this year. So in February this year, she passed away. And as Mikaboo says, once a Mikaboo bird, always a Mikaboo bird. We will always take back our birds. So we went and we picked up the 4 parrots that she had. And we have taken them all back into foster care. Some have already been adopted, and Hala has been with us now for about 4.5 months, fostering her here. And she's looking for her second Mikaboo foster forever home. Adopted home.
You're sometimes going off screen just a little bit. I noticed that she hasn't grabbed your earbuds yet. That's
not yet. It's a matter of time. Her favorite game is trying to remove my AirPods. So I'm going to play that game with her for the next 5 minutes until we finish our interview.
So again, we noticed that she's rather plucked and that she is rather cuddly. Is it hormones again in her case? And are you also keeping her away from nesty things and such?
Yeah, 100%. She has had a history of hormonal plucking for most of her life. She's approaching 40 years old. So she's not a senior macaw, but she's very middle-aged. And so the plucking is something she's done for a long time. Her chest feathers, follicles are damaged now. They're not going to grow back. And she's healthy though. She's not on any medication. She's on a very healthy diet. And she doesn't pluck extensively now, but we have to control her hormones nonetheless, because every year those hormones will resurge. And so about a month ago, we struggled, maybe more like 6 weeks ago now, we struggled with her. Every time we let her out, she would immediately climb down onto the floor and go under her cage, because to her, that feels like a nest. And then that just amplifies her hormone levels, because she thinks, oh, I've got a nest now, I can get even more hormonal and ready for breeding. And so I had to work really hard for those 2 weeks. We fixed it by showering her as soon as we took her out. So I'd spray her with a misting bottle, and that distracted her, and she started preening instead, and it helped literally cool her off. And it took about 2 weeks to get out of that cycle. So we have to meal feed her, be very careful not to feed her warm foods, watch the lighting, make sure she gets her 10 to 12 hours of sleep. I only touch her on her beak and her head and her feet. I never touch her anywhere else. We just use all the tools in our toolbox to keep her hormones under control.
Right, because touching her on her body or back is courtship behavior, or could
absolutely.
Courtship.
Yeah, it's not a good idea with any parrot, and it can lead to these frustration behavioral issues, which just they can lead to health issues too.
Sure. So what does she like to eat? And I know she has to be I remember she has to be careful about eating.
Yeah, so you might notice her crop area is quite inflated. She is what we call a gulper. She gulps air. And you see this sometimes in birds that have had issues in their upper GI tract occasionally. So we pay attention to that by meal feeding her. We meal feed her breakfast and dinner. So we give her
by meal
portions.
feeding, by meal feeding, I just want to clarify for everyone who's listening, it's a term we use for feeding them distinct meals and then taking the food away as opposed to leaving food out all day. Okay.
Correct. So she doesn't get to free feed all day. She has her breakfast and she has her dinner, and then she gets her veggies and her fruit in between the occasional treat. So like the cashew nut I'm giving her right now to try and distract her.
Right, right.
So
pellets and vegetables.
yeah, she eats Harrison's pellets. She's very good with her veggies. Her favorite thing is orange slices though, and she'll actually pick up an orange slice from her veggie and fruit dish, carry it over to her water, and dunk it into her water dish to create a little orange juice blend, which she's happy to drink for a little bit. So she loves orange slices, and she'll hold them and tip her head back and suck all the orange juice out of the slice until there's just nothing left but the rind.
It's really amazing to watch a big bird like a macaw be so gentle with a piece of fruit. It's really amazing.
Yes, more gentle than she's being with my hair right now. She's restyling it, unfortunately. I don't usually let her stay on my shoulder for long periods of time because this is getting to hormonal behavior, and it really, she gets overexcited. And so we manage that by just limiting it. Like she'll step onto my shoulder, I'll do a lap of the house with her, we'll talk to the other foster birds for just 5 minutes, and then I put her back on the cage. And she loves that. She will put her foot up. She'll ask, you know, like, pick me up. And that's when we do a lap. And then I put her back, and then I come back and I'll do another lap. If she's on my shoulder for extended periods, she starts wiping her beak on my face. And it's just things you have to work through, because if she's getting really excited, it's best to just give her a little break to come down and then come back again.
Right, right. Now, what are some of the other things she likes to do besides steal your earbuds and
her favorite thing is staring out the window and being an amazing guard bird. Hala is an exceptional guard bird. She has 2 large windows near to her cage. So she has a great view of our neighbor's patio and a couple of front doors of our neighbors. And every time that our neighbor comes out to walk her dog, we know, because Hala is on full alert and she uses her maximum macaw jungle call to let us know that there's another human that she doesn't know in the vicinity walking around. So she's an amazing guard bird. You will always know if someone is approaching the windows that she can see. And it's something that probably you and your neighbors might hear. So if sound is a concern for you, then you'd want to bear that in mind.
She's the neighborhood watch. You mentioned can be loud, and macaws have a reputation for being loud. So
yeah.
Would you say she's not an apartment bird?
No, she's definitely not an apartment bird. She's quiet most of the day, and in fact, we let her out every morning whilst I'm doing the rounds, feeding all my other fosters and doing breakfast for everybody. And she'll mostly just sit on, she's got a little wooden door topper here. I'm gonna put her up on the balcony just for a second. She's getting a little bit too wound up. So her favorite thing to do is just sit on this perch. Mm-hmm. And she will just jibber jabber. She'll look out the window and jibber jabber. It's not really recognizable English words, but she will just make all these human sounding noises and go hello and hala occasionally. And that's her favorite thing to do, is just watching the view out the window. Otherwise, she just wants to hang out with me. She needs a lot of attention. I could never have another large bird with him fostering her because she needs interaction and enrichment. I'm getting a volume demo now, so right. She easily goes over 100 decibels, probably about 110 when she's really going for it.
That's rock concert loud. We have a question coming in from the audience, and that is, does she ever bite?
Yes, she does, but it's something that's manageable. And it's true of most parrots that when they're excited, they tend to be beakier. So when I let her out first thing, I'll open this balcony door and then I'll just step back for a couple of minutes and just let her chill. Because she comes out, she's very excited that she's out of her cage. And so there's lots of head bobbing and she's just, much more animated. So I'll let that kind of calm down. I'll just let her do her thing for a little bit. And then I'll come and talk to her. When she's ready for me to pick her up, she'll lift up a foot and let me know. Sometimes she's got me twice. She got me one night when I was covering her cage. She tends to be much beakier from inside the cage if you're messing with her cage. So I was pulling the cover over one night and she got me on the inside of my arm. I think there's still a little little mark there from where she got me. And then she got me on the shoulder too once when I just let her out and I didn't realize I was within striking range. So she was just excited and beaking. She wasn't trying to hurt me, but she was beaking about because she just got out and she was wound up. So I have a couple little marks there too.
Perfect. We are almost out of time. There is one other question. Has she been around dogs?
Not that we know of. Her last owner did have cats, but I don't know if they were allowed in the bird room or not. So I would say, given the amount of attention that she needs, I'd recommend it someone who's got a lot of time for her. Unfortunately, we don't have any opportunity to see how she does with dogs. But if you ever adopt a bird and you do find that there are incompatibilities with other pets or family members in your home, Mikaboo will always take a bird back.
Right. Hey, thank you so much, Sarah and Hala. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Guest. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
So for those of you who joined late, welcome to the Mikaboo Virtual Adoption Fair. And we're meeting some of the wonderful birds who are available to find their forever homes. So if you have questions about the adoption process, ask them in the chat window, and one of our volunteers will help you out. And now we have a green cheek conure named Kiko and a lovebird named, yes, Kiko is on Annika's shoulder. And now front and center, and Buddy the lovebird. Hi, Julia. Hi, Annika.
There.
Great to see you guys.
Yeah.
So tell us a little about this pair and, how long have you had them and how old are they, if you know?
I got them last fall, or I think it was December-ish. They came from a shelter that they had been surrendered to the shelter, and they knew that Kiko, which is the green cheek conure, was about 13 years old, and Buddy, the lovebird, is about 16 years old. So that's really all that we knew about them. It was very clear they were well cared for before they were surrendered, so I don't know what their situation was. They're both, as you can see, they were on my shoulder and Annika's shoulder, very tame. The only thing is Kiko, just like Jojo, the Amazon, the gray, Kiko doesn't like most people's fingers. So you can see Annika just let Kiko step straight up onto her shoulder. And that's kind of the preferred thing. These two are very bonded. So they cannot be separated. As far as we know, they've lived together their whole life. We were told they were both male, but I kind of suspect Kiko, the conure, is probably female. But it really doesn't matter because they love each other nonetheless. They preen each other. They sleep cuddled up next to each other. They're adorable. So
awesome. And I'll point out to our viewers that they're being mixed gender wouldn't matter because they're not different breeds of parrots. They are entirely different species. They are not cross-bred. So they're just buds, and they're really good buds. I can see them hanging out on Annika's shoulder together and preening each other a little bit.
Yeah.
What does Kiko eat and what does Buddy eat? Do they eat the same thing, and what are their favorite foods and such?
They're both right now still on Zupreme. It's a seed mixed with kibble. That they came to me pretty much strictly on seeds. We are trying to transition them, but I'm not going very quickly with it, partly because Buddy, who is our lovebird here, at 16, Buddy's pretty elderly for a lovebird. We've had him to the vet. Everything checks out fine. Nothing, all the blood works fine, but just he's kind of becoming an elderly gentleman. And we're trying to keep his weight on him. It's a nice problem to have. I don't have that. So we're kind of still doing the mix of kibble and seed. Actually, Kiko the conure prefers the kibble or the pellets out of the mix, and Buddy sticks with the seeds. But because his weight has been okay with that, we've been letting it roll for now.
So what sorts of things should potential adopters know? And I'll preface that with, do you think that these two would do all right in a home that was new to parrots?
Definitely. They're really, really sweet. Like even, hello there. Even from like the first week we got them, they're super sweet. They step up on anyone and they don't bite, but when they do, it like doesn't hurt at all. They're super sweet and really great birds.
I see some balls out here. Are we about to get a demonstration of some favorite activities?
Yes, Kiko. Kiko, show them your balls. Can you show them the balls?
Oh boy.
You're on screen.
You want another one, Kiko? Yeah. This is one of Kiko's, and then you hear my macaw in the background laughing. This is one of Kiko's favorite activities, and it has to be this style of cat ball. It can't be any other style of cat ball. But he cracks everybody up.
At night or like right before bed, they like to go in the bottom of their cage and they have a couple balls down there and they play soccer back and forth.
That's really funny. That's really funny. Yeah, Kiko, you knocked it out of the park. Wow.
Yeah. They're also relatively quiet. They are content. They have their cage open all day long while I'm here, which I work out of the house, so the cage door is open most of the day. And they very rarely leave it. They will get up on top of their cage and play. They like to play with balls. They've got a little play stand next to their cage that they'll sometimes go on. But you'll find them a lot of times just sitting there inside their cage, cuddled up. They like to look out the window. I've got some succulents that are apparently attractive to the hummingbirds, and they've been enjoying, watching the hummingbirds lately.
So although they're not, although they're living as a pair, do they show any hormonal stress? It doesn't seem like it.
Kiko, the green cheek, the only real catch is that Kiko, we talked about how some birds will pluck themselves if they're stressed or have some sort of medical situation. Kiko the lovebird has one, buddy. Kiko the green cheek, sorry, I've got 9 birds in the house right now. 8. Has one tail feather and one wing feather. They're like pacifiers to Kiko. So every once in a while, you will find Kiko grab that tail feather and just hold it and chew on it, or the wing feather and just hold it and chew on it. And it's kind of a weird thing, but I think it's just his little method of dealing with stress. So we always have one tail feather and one wing feather that look a little ragged, but yeah, I haven't been noticing him doing it as much lately. So I don't know in his previous home if there were some stress issues or whatever that were causing this. But yeah.
Awesome. We have a question from Facebook, and I know you answered this already, but does not hurt to talk about it again. Are they finger tame?
Yes, very.
They don't like, they are. Take this back. Kiko, the green cheek, if I put my hand in the cage to get Kiko freaks. If Kiko is in any other place and I put my hand out, that's fine. He'll step right up. Kiko is fairly bonded to Annika, so Annika gets more finger privileges than the rest of us. But for the most part, they would prefer just to like step straight onto your shoulder if they can get there from like the top of their cage or whatever. Yeah, but they are definitely both tame. They love people. Like Buddy, you can see, is about ready to take a nap. I've had him sit on my shoulder all afternoon while I work and just, yeah, so.
That's awesome. Do you have, what's a typical day in the life of Keeko and Buddy? What would people be in for in terms of care and hanging out?
I like hanging out with them in the morning. So like I like making my breakfast and Kiko will just sit on my shoulder while I make breakfast and eat it. And they just like sitting on their cage all day. Like mom will have them on her shoulder when she works, but they're really low maintenance. They're not on any medicine or anything. And they like being on you whenever they can. So like if you have time to give them attention, they love it. But they're also, if you're away and like you need somebody just to like feed them, they're fine with each other.
Right. That sounds, I mean, they sound like very easy birds to be with.
Very.
And, you know,
I would say that out of all the birds I have fostered or foster failed with Mickaboo, I think honestly would probably agree this has been like the easiest pair of birds we've ever had. So
awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing them. Oh, someone is asking, who do we hear in the background?
oh, you probably hear Lucky, the pineapple conure, who's coming up shortly.
It's like Chico.
And then also Chico, we have a severe severe macaw. And
He's got a bell.
Chico likes his bell, and if he feels he's not getting enough attention, he'll ring it. So if you've been hearing a bell ringing, that's Chico.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I should say we're going to see you guys again in 2 segments to talk about a few other birds that are also looking for their forever homes.
That's
So
right.
thank you so much. And Kiko and Buddy, great having you on. And hopefully we'll be talking about your forever home soon. These are the famous 3 amigos, right?
We've got 2 cockatiels and 1 pineapple green cheek conure. So this is Lucky.
Hi, Lucky.
And on top of the cage, we have Pretty Bird, which is the pied or gray cockatiel. And we've got Casper, which is the white one.
Casper's in Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Friendly Ghost, right, right. And again, if you have, you viewers have questions about Lucky or Casper or Pretty Bird, you know, ask them in chat. So how long have you had them? And
we took them on, I think it was in April or May, and called them the 3 amigos. It's a very interesting relationship that they have. So apparently they were in an outdoor aviary together and the person was sick and could no longer care for them. It's a little shocking to me because all 3 of these birds are actually very friendly. So it's not your typical what you would see from an outdoor aviary. And the interesting thing was apparently Lucky, who is the pineapple conure, Lucky was picking himself, and what they found, and we know he's very anxious, he has a lot of anxiety, but what we discovered was, or what the previous owner discovered was, as long as he was with other birds, he was better about the picking. So he kind of grew attached to these 2 cockatiels, and the 3 of them have become buddies, and they preen each other. They are bonded in the sense that they all preen each other. I think they're all male. We're not 100% positive on, well, we know definitely that Casper and Pretty Bird, who are both cockatiels, are male. They love wooing my cockatiel hen. And they are very vocal as cockatiels go. And then Lucky, the pineapple conure over there, is a little less, let's see, how would we describe him? He's a little anxious. He's kind of like somebody that's souped up on way too much caffeine. So at any rate, but what's really neat about him is that when you get when Lucky gets on you, on your shoulder or on your arm or wherever, he loves to cuddle in. He'll go down your shirt, he'll go down your jacket, and he loves, and hair, in the hair. He loves head scritches. That's one of his very favorite things, and just so sweet about it. The other thing is that Lucky is a pretty talented little talker. I haven't had a lot of experience in the past with conures, and I didn't realize how good they could be at talking until I got Lucky. Lucky has picked up the words and sounds from every other bird in the household. He's not super clear when he talks, but if you're just sitting in the room, he'll start going. And it's like, you think it's another bird, but it's actually Lucky imitating the other birds in the room. So,
right, right.
Yeah.
So So I almost heard you say when you get lucky, which I just thought was really
But
so you say Lucky is anxious, but that he's being with the other birds really helps him stay calm. What does anxious look like?
Like right now, like when we have the computer up, we can't get really close to him. And also he doesn't step up well. Like he steps up if he flew off his cage, but he'd rather just be cuddled or held. Rather, like he feels comfortable just being in your hand and not on your finger.
yeah. He's another one that if you can get him up like on your shoulder off of the cage, he'd rather do that than get anywhere near a finger. So.
All right. And they're so cute. I forget if I already asked. Do they eat the same thing? Did we talk about food?
Yeah, they are actually in transition as well. They were on when we first got them, we were giving them the same seed pellet mixture as we did Keeko and Buddy. But since that time, the interesting thing is the two cockatiels have decided that they like our two cockatiels that we have here at home. So they all kind of flocked together and they saw my two cockatiels eating Supreme natural pellets. And so these cockatiels started eating it. It was totally like they just picked it up because the other cockatiels were eating it. So now all three of them will eat the Supreme pellets. So we're phasing out the other stuff.
They also really like eating fresh produce. So in the morning, we'll give them some lettuce, cilantro, and apple, and they love eating that all day.
Yummy. I like eating lettuce, cilantro, and apples, so can't
I'll
blame
skip
you.
the cilantro.
So what do you imagine a forever home with them would be like? And by that, I mean two things. Is what qualities should the home have, or the adopters? And what do you think it would be like with these three in it?
I think they're fairly independent. They don't need a ton of attention, of course, given whatever. But they're pretty good, happy with each other. And they're really fairly low maintenance. And
Yeah, they because they have each other, they're really happy with just the ambient, having other birds around, having people around. But if you're giving out head scritches, Lucky will insert his head for one.
He loves head scritches.
But yeah, they, as Annika said, these guys are pretty easy keepers because they have each other. So that's great.
Sometimes Lucky will give himself his own head scritches on a zip tie we have up here.
Oh, that's funny. And I see they've got a fair number of toys for chewing and for climbing around on.
Right. Which they don't, and they, to be honest, they don't seem to use their toys a ton, but they do have a variety.
So you have a story about the three amigos, riding into town and cleaning up the town or something. Well, the parrots don't clean anything up, but favorite story about them, or one or two of them? You said one of them is quite a ladies' man.
Yes, that is Casper.
The white one.
The white one. Where did Casper go to?
Right up there.
He's in the back.
Casper. He kind of blends in. So I have, we have a pair of cockatiels here at home, which were our first Mikaboo birds, and we adopted them 8 or 9 years ago now. Anyway, Butter and Phil have, been the king and queen here for a long time. And, but from the minute Casper laid eyes on Butter, who is a Lutino cockatiel, he has been obsessed with her. And he sings to her from across the room. He goes out, as soon as you open his cage, he's over there trying to woo her. He's hysterical. And she keeps like brushing him off. She keeps running away. And he is so determined that he is going to woo his lady friend. But of course, Butter's husband, Phil, is not real happy with that. So,
As a married man, I can understand that. Yeah, Phil. I'm with you, buddy. And yeah, 1 second. So Pretty Bird isn't so much of a wooer, and they don't compete.
No,
He
and
likes being social though.
he does. Pretty Bird likes to be kind of in the middle of what's going on in terms of being social. Like if everybody else is over on the other cockatiel cage, Pretty Bird's got to be there. You know, there's that fear of missing out that Pretty Bird has. So yeah, and Pretty Bird's just kind of a relaxed, mellow little bird. And it is interesting. I kind of thought maybe Pretty Bird might be female, but then Pretty Bird did try to woo my cockatiel hen the other day for the first time. So I definitely know he's a male, but definitely not as persistent and not as driven as his friend Casper.
Awesome. Awesome. Anything else that people should know about these three other than that they come together as a party?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think Pretty Bird is actually, he doesn't do too well with stepping up either. He's kind of like Lucky like that. He would much rather just step up on your shoulder or just hang out around you.
Got it.
Overall, I would say they are a great addition to somebody who's willing to take on 3 birds together. The advantage is, as Annika's mentioned, they do kind of entertain each other and keep each other company. So that is great in the sense that requires a little less necessary attention on our part, although we still give them a lot because they're fun. But they are smaller birds. They're easy to handle. I say they're all funny. They're friendly. It's a great little trio of birds.
They're really neat. We have two questions coming in from Facebook right now, and one, the shorter one, is: do they live together in one cage?
Yes.
So I have them right now. It's in a double flight cage, so it's a large setup.
Yeah.
Anyway, they do need a larger cage just because there's 3 of them.
Sure.
And we can certainly, whoever adopts them, we can certainly try to help make some recommendations on appropriate cages and that sort of thing. But yeah, pretty easy.
And the other question is, what's the most rewarding thing about being a foster family for parrots?
I love my fosters because I have learned so much from them. I have gotten to really experience life with many, many different kinds of birds, which has been fun. I've been a lifelong bird person, so it's been neat over the years to be able to foster some of the species that I've never actually had before and learn more about them. And so I'm enjoying that. Currently, I'm the conure coordinator. So one of the things I have been doing lately is trying to learn more about conures. And that has been a really fun experience, and getting to foster these 2 has obviously taught me a lot.
That's wonderful. Well, another question coming in, and that is, are they loud together? Teals are not known for being super loud, and neither are green cheeks, but are they loud together?
Not really, except for Casper. Casper, a couple, once or twice a day, he has this kind of like police siren call. I don't know how to really put it, but
yeah, it's kind of like an emergency alert system thing that he does. So at any rate, and he does it a couple times a day. For people that are familiar with larger birds that might flock call at dawn and dusk, or flock call in the morning and flock call in the evening, I think it's kind of that. He's got to do his little flock call.
But other than that, they're pretty quiet. I mean, they make their little noises, but they're not like a larger bird.
Yeah.
They're not like Hala.
Right.
No. Yeah.
Thank you all so much for being here. All right. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, we do have with children. Honestly, my youngest child in the house is Annika, and she's 16. So I've not tried them with small children, but
I would think they'd be fine.
yeah, out of all the birds we've had, these are probably some that I would recommend for a household with
Kiko and Buddy
kids.
would definitely be great with kids.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And hopefully there's someone watching right now who has already fallen in love. So we are going to Katie and Snowflake. Hi, Katie.
Hi.
And hi, Snowflake. Snowflake looks like a beautiful white budgie.
She is right up here. So all the other birds we've met today have been out of their cages, but Snowflake is not so tame. She's very friendly with people from a distance. So she
Very
either
what
needs
with
to
people,
be.
Katie?
Pardon?
She's very what with people?
She's very friendly with people from a distance. And I'm
Wow.
sorry you hear my Myers parrot in the background.
That's
There's a
okay.
cat in the yard.
So she's friendly from a distance. What does she like to do?
She really likes toys that she can chew on, so you can see quite a number of things in her cage. Oops, sorry, baby, there she goes. That she can chew on. I replace those regularly, shredders and toys like that. She loves to fly around, and she has some perches up high in our house, up on top of her cage. Usually there's a drying rack like that you put clothes on. We have a wooden one that she uses as a perch. So yeah, chewing on things, burbling away, and flying around are her favorite things.
I see her hopping around pretty actively. How did you come to Mikaboo?
Snowflake has a pretty amazing story. A very nice woman who we've heard a lot about hormones today, and a very nice woman who didn't really understand bird hormones or how budgies like to reproduce started with 4 parakeets and called Mikaboo when she had 84. And I know that number because I and another volunteer went to her house and caught every single one. They were flying around in a bedroom, and we sexed them. Budgies are kind of unusual for parrots in that, for the most part, they are sexually dimorphic, so you can look at them and tell if you got a boy or a girl. So we went to this house and we split up the boys and the girls, and then all the girls ended up being brought into Mikaboo. The owner did love her birds very much, and she wanted to take care of them well and enjoy their companionship. So the agreement we came to was she kept the boys, and there are no more budgies in that house than there were. Oh gosh, I think that was like about 6 years ago now.
Right. So she had quite the social life. How does she get along with other birds?
She likes other budgies a lot, and actually one of the reasons I'm excited to be here with her today is that right now she's alone in my house. I've had a very large flock of adopted and foster budgies at various points in time, but my own 2 budgies both passed away over the winter, and right now she's by herself, and she doesn't like that. Budgies, we always recommend that people adopt them in groups, at a minimum a pair. Of course, if you already have your own, then one to go with an existing bird would be fine. But they live in huge flocks in the wild. They're very social. So she's lonely right now.
Yeah, and I should add for our viewers that Mikaboo will only adopt budgies either in pairs or to homes that have other budgies, because they are so social and they really, really need that.
Yeah.
Any physical or medical issues that she's got?
Snowflake is missing a couple of toes from a mouse attack several years ago. She's completely healthy, gets around just fine, but you can see how she wobbles a little bit depending what kind of a surface she's on. So she has a flat perch that she's on right now. You can barely even see it because of the angle that the camera's at. But she likes that. She likes rope perches. You can see she has a sisal rope perch in here, and also a little swinging perch that's also rope. She does best perching on things that have a little bit of texture, since she doesn't have as many toes to grip on with.
So she gets on well with other birds, and she likes to have some flat things and things with texture to perch on. What does she eat, both meals and treats?
Yeah, so right now the only thing she's got in her cage, you can see right in this corner, this is a little bit of broccoli. I love to garden as well as loving birds, and I've discovered that a lot of my birds actually like the bolting part of greens. So when I'm not quick enough to get to my mustard greens or my bok choy or anything else, that's what they get. So right now she has some broccoli that was just starting to bloom. For her base diet, she has nutrient cakes, which is a product that's a combination of pellets and seeds in a sort of molassesy base that holds it together. And it's really nice because it comes in a big cake that's scored, and the individual squares that you can easily break or cut it into are a good meal size for budgies, and also cockatiels, some of the other small Australian birds, which tend to do good with some seed in their diet. In general, we think of seed as not being a good base diet for most parrots, but in fact, for some of the small birds that would eat a lot of grains in the wild, having some seed in their diet is important.
Sure, that makes sense. So one of our viewers is asking if she would get along with a Pacific parrotlet. Any idea?
Probably not. I don't know any of the South American parrots that well, but in general, the little birds are pretty tough. They might be good friends outside of the cage who could meet up from time to time, sort of like what Julia has shown us with her flock.
Right.
But I would not cage them together.
Okay, that's great to know. Hopefully that answers the question. Let's see, what else?
I really do like parrotlets. They remind me of little dinosaurs even more than other dinosaurs, other parrots. They're so fierce and passionate for their size.
Yeah, it would be fun for Snowflake to meet someone littler than her. Right?
Yeah, I think that would blow her mind.
Unusual for being a budgie.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Got a favorite Snowflake story?
Well, to be honest, her crazy origin story is one of my favorites because it's such a tragedy in a way of, this person who loved their birds so much but just didn't know the best way to take care of them. And to me, that gets at a lot of the core of Mikaboo's existence of helping people be good companions for birds. And all of us are always learning more about how to do that. And also it's a real success story because after those female birds were brought out of that home, many of them, including Snowflake, continued to live in mixed sex flocks with no further reproduction, because there is a lot that you can do with environment to discourage birds from wanting to reproduce and lay eggs. It's a hard life being a parrot in the wild, and they only raise babies when biology gives them clues that they could be successful. It's so, it's a tragedy that had a happy ending because, we knew certain things to do, and the owner then knew another thing to do, which is just don't put boys and girls together.
Right,
so,
right. Yeah, and we were talking about some of those things before, like when they're seems like there's lots of nesting materials and lots of food. It's a good time to have babies, and so
yeah, nesting materials, length of day, amount of food, little dark locations that you can crawl into. There's so many things, but if you don't know, you can't do better. So that's an important thing about Mikaboo, is helping us all learn how to do better.
Absolutely. Let's see, would you say that Snowflake would do well in a home that was new to birds, so long as there were other budgies?
Yes. Snowflake in particular is not a super human-friendly bird. I've had her for several years. She does not like to step up. She bites. She's very happy. You can see she's preening and just kind of doing her thing there. She likes being around me, but she does not want to be a super interactive pet. She's, you know, some of my other budgies have been very friendly, very interactive. And one of the things that I love about budgies as pets is some of them will be so happy to come and see you, but then they go back to their cage and their flock and they do their bird thing while you go do your human thing. So she would be great. She is not the particular temperament or personality of budgie who's going to be someone's super best friend who loves to step up and talk to them. But there are lots of budgies who are like that. I'd say she's a little unusual in her standoffishness with people. But she's a great little bird as long as you understand how she wants to be friends with you.
And she would be a nice part of a pair or a small flock.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
I don't like the phrase starter bird, but
No.
I do think that budgies, because they can get a lot of satisfaction from each other, and because physically they can't do a huge amount of damage. They're not that loud. They're not that strong. It does mean that they can fit into some human households that might be more challenging for, say, Hala or Morato, who I wish we'd gotten to see more of here.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we will soon. Katie, thank you so much, and thank you, Snowflake. And I know there's a group of budgies just waiting to welcome you in, so hopefully that happens soon.
So,
All right, thanks so much.
bye.
Hello, can you hear me
Hey, I
now?
can hear you. That's wonderful.
Okay, good. I figured it out. There was an extra microphone there that didn't know was on. So,
All right.
we're back.
So tell us about Morato.
Okay, Morato is in his early 20s. We've had him as
That's
a
not
foster
very
for
old
about,
for an Amazon.
yeah, he's a youngish Morato. We've had him for about 3 years, and he likes to hang out with you. And there's not much of a bird that likes to step up. It's not really into fingers, but you can kind of touch him a little bit on his beak, but he won't mind.
So he'll accept some touch, but he's not a stepper-upper.
No, not right now, and I don't know that he will ever be, but I think with the proper training, you could probably work your way to that.
What does he like to do in terms of interaction with people, and what kind of limits does he set?
That's a good question. He will. Usually, it's on his terms. He likes to be just. Well, that's a good question.
Does he bite?
Right now, I'm in my face.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay, interactions. He likes to whistle, and you'll get a lot of interaction whistling back and forth with him. He likes the wolf whistle.
Right.
And yeah.
Does he bite? I mean, all birds bite. So
He's never bitten me. He will threaten to bite you if you're making him uncomfortable. But he's never bitten me before.
got it.
Or my wife either.
What does Morato like to eat?
Morato, besides pellets, he does like a good salad. He eats salad with us when we have dinner, or so at least once a day he has some greens and some vegetables. And it seems to, lately has really come to account on that as part of his diet. He seems to look forward to his salad.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So what's a typical day with Morato like?
What
does he like to do?
Morato likes to forage. We have his little foraging.
And by foraging, you mean having challenging ways to find food or puzzle toys?
Exactly. So like this wheel, he likes put a little nut in there, a little treat in there, and he'll go for it. Like that.
Right. Is he out of his
Yeah,
cage
that
a lot
kind of
of the
thing.
time? Is he out of his cage a lot of the time?
Yes. Lots of time out of the cage playing, and occasionally, maybe like once or every week or two, he'll go out on his own, and he might fly to another part of the room, and usually it's to get closer to you and hang out with you.
So he does like to hang out with people, but on
Yeah.
his own terms.
On his own terms, exactly.
Got it. Got it. And let's see. How did he come to Mikaboo?
Oh, that's a good question. He was abandoned
Wow.
by I think, and he was found in a bush, starving in a bush in Concord, I believe. And it was near a vet, and the vet found him.
Well, that's
And
lucky.
he came to us from there.
So does he have any medical issues stemming from that?
No, he's a very healthy bird. He's never had any issues. Since he's a healthy eater, he has a very good body shape. You can maybe tell. And
Does he have any experience with cats or dogs?
I guess maybe we've had a dog over to the house once or twice, but not on any regular basis. But
How did he respond? Was it traumatic
He
for
was-
him? Or he was
no, he was fine with a smaller dog running around for a while.
And someone wants to know, he seems trainable to step up. Does he step up onto a stick, first of all?
I have gotten him to do that before. When I was able to spend a lot of time on it, I have gotten him to step onto a perch before.
Got it. So maybe don't count on a hand step up, but probably work.
Right. Exactly.
Cool. And
Mhm.
Amazons have a reputation for being loud. Can Morato get loud?
Occasionally, for attention. A lot of times it's what you would call a
Contact call?
a location.
Yeah.
A location call. So when you're leaving the room and he wants to know where you're at, so he'll make call out to you, hoping you'll call back and let him know where you're at.
So like when you leave the room, he gets kind of loud?
It can be, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Someone is asking, you've already answered this, but make sure that the right person hears it. Does Morato talk?
He kind of maybe says like hello a little bit, but it's mostly whistles for Morato.
He's the whistler.
Mhm.
And that makes your wife Whistler's mother. No.
Yes.
Now, you also have a blue and gold macaw, Bailey. Is that
We
right?
do.
We're talking about Bailey today?
Yes, let's switch the camera over to Bailey.
Give it to Bailey.
There we go. And
Hey there, Bailey.
Here's Bailey.
Bailey seems to like shredding things.
Yep, this is Bailey's one of her favorite things is foraging, and so we'll wrap up some treats in some paper and kind of make a little present out of it, and then she'll dig her way through it and enjoy a snack.
Macaws also have a reputation for being kind of loud. Is Bailey loud, and does she talk?
She can be, but generally she's very quiet. If she like drops a toy or something that she can't quite get to, she may scream at the top of her lungs. But it doesn't last long. But it's definitely ear piercing, like, as macaws are known to do.
Right. She's also rather plucked. Do you know what was up with that? Are you working with that?
Sure. She came to Mikaboo that way, so she's been this way a long time. But it doesn't.
Not growing back, which is okay.
Right.
But nice.
She has a couple spots that seem to grow back, but I think, you know, she'll remove those over time, but doesn't seem to be any like real active plucking going on.
Right. And what are you doing to keep that down?
Well, yeah, we avoid the nesty behaviors, and we're just giving her lots of attention and make sure she doesn't get bored.
Gentle viewer, take this point that it's really important to not give them nesty places and nesty things to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a common thread through several of our birds here. Yeah.
Right.
What does Hala, not Hala, sorry, Bailey. What does Bailey eat?
Bailey eats pellets and fruit, and she especially likes plums right now. We have plums growing out back. And so she gets some fresh fruit, blueberries she's especially fond of, maybe some banana, but we've been working on getting her to eat more vegetables, and when we have salad time, we give her some salad, and she seems to eat some greens, a little bit of greens now and again.
So she and Morato are both salad eaters. Are they a bonded pair? That is, do you think that they would really need to be adopted together?
No, not at all. Bailey doesn't, I know she's lived with like other large birds and stuff before and has done okay in that situation. She really doesn't pay a whole lot of attention to Morato. So she could be on her own or she could be with other birds, it seems.
We have another question about Morato coming in, and that is, does Morato prefer either men or women, or not really good with both?
It seems to be good with both.
Okay. Great. That's awesome. Let's see, before we close, anything else, you know, a fun story or anything else you'd like to tell us about Bailey or special care that
Bailey is especially sweet and kind of funny at bedtime. When she's on her way to bed and kind of winding it down and getting ready to get her.
I think we forgot to ask that.
I'm sorry?
Does she step up?
She has, if she was like wandering around the house and she got herself into trouble and she really needed a hand, I've offered it and she'll take it, but it's not a regular thing.
Got it.
But I think she has in the past, but we've only had her for 6 months now, so we're still getting settled with her. Yes.
Yeah.
And at nighttime, she talks at nighttime. It's kind of weird because she's such a large bird and she can make such loud noises. But at nighttime, she gets these little quiet, sweet noises like "Hi, hello," and she'll talk to you from the other room when it's like nighttime. It's very cute.
That's really, really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Andy, thanks so much for sharing these two beautiful birds with us. And
thanks for having us.
Looks like pistachios are a fun thing to hide in the paper.
Oh, yes. One of the favorites.
All right. Thanks so much.
Okay.
And thanks to all of you for attending Mikaboo's July Adoption Fair. And if you have ideas or comments on how we can improve for next time, please mention it in chat or send us an email.
Andy.
We want to keep getting better. So these are some of the birds who are looking for their forever homes, and there are many, many more. If you fell in love with one of these birds, please contact us. And if none of the birds here today seemed like the right fit, take a look at the other birds on our website, Mikaboo.org. And remember, please, we are fully donation-funded nonprofit, and you can support this work of parrot rescue at Mikaboo.org/donate or paypal.me/Mikaboo. We're doing these virtual adoption fairs regularly now. This seems to be the way to go forward for the time being. And we've got the next one planned on August 15th. So check in about that and other events on the events page on our Mikaboo website. Huge thank yous to all of our foster parents and their birds for being brave enough to come on video, and all of the volunteers who provided technical support and kept this event happening as smoothly as we could make it, and flexing when things got bouncy. So thank you all, and we'll see you next month.